Think of one woman right now. Think of someone specific, someone real. Skip all of the famous people that are on the posters this month. Think about someone who's done something for you so many times that you stopped counting and then stopped noticing. And now it just feels like weather. Something that just happens on its own. Yeah? You got her? Good. Now, hold on to her. We're gonna come back. I wanna come back to her. Let's do a quick bit of history first, because it matters more today than any poster does. Well, more this month than any poster does. On the 9th of August, 1956, over 20,000 women marched to the Union buildings in Pretoria. They were protesting, the apartheid-era system about to force them to carry the same restrictive documents that already controlled where men could live and work. They sang something that day that we still say without remembering really where it stemmed from. Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo. You strike a woman, you strike a rock. 70 years ago this week. 70 years sounds like distant history until you realize that it's just one grandmother's lifetime told in a single sentence. So every year around this time, we do the same thing. They say women are strong, women are the backbone, women hold it together, and it's all true. It's also become something we say instead of something we see. So today isn't a tribute, it's an audit. What did these women build? And what did it cost them to build it? Start with the ordinary one. The one who shows up consistently, that her showing up stops registering as a choice. Your mother who fed you before she fed herself and never once made a scene. A grandmother who wakes up at 4 a.m. out of habit built over 40 years and uses that quiet hour to pray for people who don't know they're being prayed for. An older sister who became a second parent at 14 because the house needed one. And she was the one standing there. And she did it. A neighbor who's kept an eye on every child on that street for 20 years. And if you asked her why, she'd look at you like it was a strange question, like they're asking her, like, why do you breathe? That's how she receive it. So when care becomes reliable enough, we stop calling it care. We start calling it just how she is. And that's the trap, because the moment something becomes just how she is, we stop asking what it's costing to keep being like that. Consistency gets mistaken for ease, and it's quite the opposite. The hardest thing in the world is to sustain something nobody thanks you for because they've come to expect it. A once-off kindness gets you remembered forever, but a repeated kindness over 20 years becomes invisible on year number 3. Now widen the lens, because this isn't only happening in one house. It's happening in every direction at once. And when you stack it up, you start to see something bigger than a collection of kind women. You start to see infrastructure. Think about the stokvel your aunt has been a part of for the past 11 years. It looks like a savings club from the outside, while underneath, it's actually a financial system built on trust, run mostly by women, that exists because the former one didn't work for people like her. Think about the burial society 2 streets down the road. The one that means a family doesn't have to choose between grieving and finding 15,000 rands in a week. Somebody built that. A woman usually, sitting in a kitchen. I imagine my grandma's kitchen. with a central table, with a notebook and a list of names, deciding that nobody in a circle would bury a parent with debt if she could do something about it. Think about the teacher who remembers which of her students go home to an empty house and starts keeping snacks in her desk drawer for exactly those afternoons and never mentions it to anyone because it was never about being seen doing it. Think about the woman on the family WhatsApp group who always knows whose child needs a lift, whose mother is in hospital, who's struggling with rent this month before anyone says it out loud. Nobody appointed her for that role. She built it, one small act of attention at a time. And now half the family runs through her without anyone quite realizing it. That's the part we don't have a good name for. We call it being a good person, being caring, being that kind of woman. It's social architecture. It's the wiring that keeps a community standing when the official systems don't reach far enough. Take it out, even one note of it, and you'd feel the whole structure sag. You'd feel it in who falls through the cracks, in who nobody checks on anymore, or in how much quieter the group chat gets. And I want to be careful here, because it would be easy to turn this into another story about women's sacrifice and leave it there, as if sacrifice were the whole point of being a woman. I mean, hell, I don't know the first thing, but yeah, sacrifice isn't the whole point. Endless self-erasure isn't a virtue we should be asking for. A community that only works when women quietly absorb the gaps isn't a healthy community. It's a community outsourcing its responsibilities onto the people least likely to complain about carrying them. So, honoring this labor has to come with seeing it clearly. And seeing it has to come with asking these women what they need, not just what they'll tolerate. Strength shouldn't be the reason we stop checking if someone is okay. It's usually the reason we forget to. Unfortunately. Because women don't only build us through nurturing. Some of them build things in full view, in public, with their name on it, where the cost of showing up isn't quiet exhaustion. It's public scrutiny that does not let up. Take Jacinta Ngobese Zuma, a former radio presenter, a mother, someone who became a prominent voice through the March and March movement. You know, I saw her work come up gancane in my world, and she was just heading this thing that in my world I'm not really seeing as much as it is happening in our townships, in our schools, in our public systems. You know, what she's fighting for. I was kind of aware of how men like Ungizwe stood so publicly to steal the light away from her, only to bow out when the kitchen gets hot. You know, so I applaud Jacinta for being the woman she is in our generation in real time. She's not a comfortable, uncomplicated figure. She's a controversial one. Someone people disagree with, sometimes strongly. And I'm not putting her here to convince you to agree with every position she's taken. I'm putting her here because her presence in public life proves something the quiet nurturer story leaves out. Women build societies through leadership too, through conviction, through standing in a room and refusing to be the softest voice in it, through taking a public position on something, knowing not everyone will thank you for it. Some might even go as far as attacking her for it, but she keeps showing up either way. There's a different kind of labor than the one we usually put on a Women's Day poster, and costs just as much. Recognizing what someone built doesn't require agreeing with everything they said while building it. Those two things can sit apart from each other. So here's where I have to turn this on myself, because it's easy to talk about this like an outside observer. And I'm not one. None of us are. How much of who I am was built by women? I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I mean that literally, specifically, item by item. Name it in your mind for this moment. Got it? Great. The patience I use when something isn't working out for the first time, I learned from watching a woman keep trying long after most people would have stopped and called it fate. The instinct to check in on someone before they ask for help, that's inherited. It's not invented. You didn't come up with that. It came from watching it happen over and over until it stopped looking like a decision and started feeling like a reflex. Even the stubbornness it takes to keep showing up here, putting this out into the world week after week, there's no guarantee that anyone's listening. Some of that stubbornness has a woman's face attached to it, whether she knows it or not, whether she'd even take credit for it if I told her. That creates a subtle discomfort with me, doesn't, like a little discomfort, a subtle discomfort, honestly, because it means very little of who I am is fully self-made. Most of it was handed to me by women who are never going to get a credit line for it. No contract, no byline. No one's writing their names down anywhere official. They just did the work quietly for years, and the work became me. It became you listening to this right now. Before I close off today, I want to level with you a little bit, because that's the whole point of this show, right? There have been days the show is promised and then didn't show up for. The ideas didn't run out. Keeping a daily promise inside an actual demanding, fast-paced city life turned out to be harder than it sounds from the outside. And I'd rather tell you that plainly than pretend it never happened. So we're changing trying to develop the ways in which we're going to deliver this product to you. Develop how we're going to deliver this product to you. So this today is our episode in honor of the woman that built us, and will be the last episode of this week. And we are building a systematic way of releasing our episodes as from next week. So I want you to stay tuned and look forward to what we are to prepare for you. And there will be hurdles, yes, but we are growing, and I hope that we can continue to grow together in this journey. I enjoy doing this content. And I hope that you enjoy consuming it, because thinking through these ideas that I have out loud kind of does something for who I'm becoming too. And I hope that it's doing a similar thing for you. So thank you for staying with us even through the gaps. We'll have much less gaps now, more of a structure. So to close today's dose, somewhere in your life, there is a woman who has become so reliable, you stopped clocking it as effort. Find one specific thing that she does. Skip the general, she does everything, because it's too big to land on anyone, and it lets you off the hook of not noticing. So look at one specific thing. This week, maybe every day, if you have a woman who helps you become you every day. And say it to her. Tell her that I notice that you always check on me on Sundays. Or I notice you never let me leave the house without eating, even when you yourself were running late. Specific acknowledgement is one of the few ways that it can that being seen can register, instead of just being thanked in passing. And then ask yourself one more question. Is there a woman in your life carrying something that she shouldn't be carrying alone anymore? Something you could take off her plate and not just admire her for holding it. That is it from me today. Please subscribe to the Daily Development Dose. Sayonara! Out of the habit to build, well, a habit whose mother is in hospital, who's struggling with rent this month. That cannot be a chuckle somewhere. It came from watching it happen over and over until you stopped looking until, oh my God, this is, no, terrible. Subscribe